Lorenzo Bernini is the most influential Italian sculptor of the 17th century. He is most famously known as a pivotal pioneer of sculpting during the Baroque period of Italian art. His pieces embody drama, dynamic movement, and complex emotions. Gian Lorenzo Bernini was born in Naples, Italy on December 7, 1598. In his early career, Bernini assisted his father Pietro Bernini, who was also a sculptor. During the Baroque era of art, depicting human emotion was a primary characteristic in the pieces. Gian Lorenzo Bernini was fascinated with capturing human expression, emotion, and movement. Bernini became an expert at mimicking emotion and carving it into his sculptures, and because of this he became the pioneer of Baroque sculpting. Young Bernini excelled in his work and gained the attention of many while assisting his father. Bernini began gaining commissions by Pope Paul V and his nephew Cardinal Borghese. Cardinal Borghese commissioned young Bernini to sculpt 4 monumental marble pieces for his villa in Rome. Starting in 1618 and ending in 1624, Bernini sculpted Aeneas and Anchises, the Rape of Proserpina, Apollo and Daphne, and David. Here we have Apollo and Daphne, the third sculpture in Cardinal Borghese's 4 marble pieces. Bernini began sculpting this third installment in 1622 and finished in 1624. A moment captured and carved into marble became Bernini's signature. Apollo and Daphne's movements are an example of the supreme technique Bernini mastered. Apollo pulls Daphne closer to him with a smile on his face. Daphne's face mirrors that of a living woman. Her face clearly demonstrates desperation and pain. Her mouth is carved open as she yells out for help. Her hair flows away from her as she pulled closer to Apollo, and his right hand reaches for help. Both Apollo and Daphne are carved in the ideal human proportion. Apollo's right hand and left foot are carved mimicking the movements of running. His robe covers his genitalia by the force of the wind blowing against his body. The robe's creases fold over one another, creating dark shadows of depth. Apollo's hair is similar to that of Daphne's. Both are full of texture, curls, depth, and movement as they flow through the air. The second sculpture we have here is also the second installment of the 4 sculptures commissioned by Cardinal Borghese, the Rape of Proserpina. Here we have Pluto attempting to rape and kidnap Proserpina. Bernini's mastery is demonstrated through the flexing muscles of Pluto. His legs and arms flex every muscle fiber as he pulls Proserpina closer. His face has a grin on it because he is enjoying Proserpina's struggle. The curls on his head and beard spiral in different directions that flow against the wind. The robe that drapes over Proserpina falls over her shoulder, behind her butt, and over the genitalia and leg of Pluto. At his feet sits his 3-headed dog Cerberus, the guardian of the underworld. Proserpina is lifted into the air. She is much smaller than the god of Pluto, and barely able to put up a fight. Pluto's right arm folds over his body, and his hand wraps around the thigh of Proserpina. The vein on his muscular arm bulges out as he pulls Proserpina closer to his body. Her hand pushes away his face, and the other reaches out for help. Bernini's attention to detail was unprecedented. He didn't forget to carve Pluto's face being smushed and lifted as Proserpina's hand pushes his face away from her. Bernini's technique is truly amazing. As Proserpina tries to escape the grasp of Pluto, she yells out to her parents for help. Bernini also carved her mouth open like that of Daphne's in Apollo and Daphne. Although Proserpina is carved out of marble, her eyes are full of fear and defeat. She has long curly hair that flows away from her body as she is swept up from under. The imprint on her back, stomach, and left thigh demonstrate how hard Pluto is holding onto her as the shadows of his fingers' imprint form on her body. Bernini said marble was like wax in his hands. He was able to carve out a moment in time. He showed warmth, life, and emotion on cold hard stone. He carved his subjects running, pulling, being lifted in the air. It is truly remarkable what he created throughout his life. For his sculptures to be true Baroque pieces, they not only had to demonstrate movement, but they also had to capture the essence of emotion. In both Apollo and Daphne and the Rape of Proserpina, the viewer experiences the emotion the subjects demonstrate. The essence of defeat, conquering, fighting, and struggle are paramount in these 2 pieces. During the Baroque era of art, depicting human emotion was a primary characteristic in the pieces. Gian Lorenzo Bernini was fascinated with capturing human expression, emotion, and movement. Bernini became an expert at mimicking emotion and carving it into his sculptures, and because of that, he became the pioneer of Baroque sculpting. Now here we have me using my medium, the famous Crayola air dry clay, and I am going to demonstrate a form of 3D, three-dimensional art. I'm going to create a turtle, and I have some tools, just the ends of some paintbrushes that I have around my house, and that's about it. And then I'm going to be using these different tools to carve out different outlines and holes for my turtle's eyes, and have a little helper here with me. And there you go. Thank you.